Welcome to World Epic History. In 1453, the mighty walls of Constantinople faced their final test. For over 1,000 years, the Byzantine Empire stood as the last guardian of Rome's legacy, a bridge between East and West. But as cannons roared and armies gathered, the empire prepared for its desperate last stand. This is the story of courage, faith, and the fall of a civilization. In 1453, the Byzantine Empire, once the eastern pillar of Rome, faced its final hour. Constantinople, the queen of cities, stood surrounded. Mehmed the Conqueror, a young and ambitious Ottoman sultan, prepared to strike. The fall of Constantinople would not simply end a city's life, but mark the turning of an age, closing one empire and birthing another. For more than 1,000 years, Constantinople had been the heart of the Byzantine Empire. Its golden domes and mighty walls withstood countless sieges. But in the spring of 1453, Mehmed the Conqueror gathered an army of over 80,000, bringing cannons never before seen in such size. The city's defenders, barely 7,000 strong, raced for the inevitable storm. The Byzantine Empire's last emperor, Constantine XI Palaiologos, carried the weight of history. He knew that the fall of Constantinople would extinguish the flame of Rome's eastern legacy. Yet he refused surrender. With faith and courage, he rallied Greeks, Genoese allies, and common citizens. They manned the walls, determined to resist the might of Mehmed the Conqueror's legions. The Ottoman siege engines rumbled closer. Mehmed the Conqueror had commissioned a Hungarian engineer to forge the monstrous cannon called the basilica. It could hurl stone balls weighing over half a ton against Constantinople's walls. The Byzantine Empire's ancient defenses, built by Theodosius centuries earlier, trembled under this new terror, though their mighty towers still stood proud against the first bombardments. Constantinople's walls were legendary triple lines of stone and moat, symbols of Byzantine Empire resilience. For centuries, they turned back Persians, Arabs, and Bulgars. Yet now, with the fall of Constantinople looming, these same fortifications bore the brunt of Ottoman artillery. Night and day, defenders rushed to repair cracks, using earth and timber, while cannon fire thundered relentlessly against them. Inside the city, the people of the Byzantine Empire prayed in Hagia Sophia. This great church, jewel of Christendom, echoed with chants asking God to spare Constantinople. Yet fear mingled with faith. Supplies dwindled, hope wavered. Still, Emperor Constantine walked among them, urging courage. The fall of Constantinople might seem certain, but faith held many hearts firm against despair. Mehmed the Conqueror's fleet blockaded the city from the sea. Yet the Byzantines relied on their secret weapon, the great chain across the Golden Horn. Stretched between towers, this iron barrier barred Ottoman ships. The fall of Constantinople could not come by sea so long as the chain held. Mehmed, determined, began to plot a bold and unexpected maneuver. In one of history's most daring feats, Mehmed ordered ships dragged over land. Logs greased with fat became rollers. Ottoman galleys slid across hills and forests, bypassing the chain. The Byzantine Empire's defenders awoke in shock, seeing enemy ships suddenly inside the Golden Horn. With this move, Mehmed the Conqueror tightened his grip, cutting Constantinople from hope of relief. Now trapped by both land and sea, Constantinople stood isolated. The Byzantine Empire sent pleas to the west, begging for aid. A few Genoese and Venetian ships arrived, bringing supplies and men, but the grand armies of Europe never came. The fall of Constantinople would be decided not by Christendom united, but by the courage of a few thousand. For 50 days, the siege raged. The Byzantine Empire soldiers manned the walls with desperate valor. Cannon fire shook the stones, arrows darkened the sky, Yet the defenders hurled rocks, poured boiling oil, and fought hand-to-hand atop the battlements. Mehmed the Conqueror pressed every assault, but the city still stood. Constantinople's fall seemed delayed, though the cracks widened. Among the defenders was Giovanni Giustiniani, a seasoned Genoese captain. He commanded the strongest section of the wall, rallying men with skill and bravery. The Byzantine Empire relied heavily on his expertise. Mehmed the Conqueror knew if Giustiniani fell, morale would collapse. Day after day, his presence gave Constantinople strength, holding the line against relentless Ottoman attacks. Mehmed the Conqueror grew impatient. He ordered tunnels dug beneath the walls, hoping to collapse them with fire and explosives. Yet the Byzantine Empire's engineers countered with skill. They dug counter-tunnels, meeting the invaders underground in deadly combat. The clash of picks, smoke, and fire beneath Constantinople showed that the city's defenders would fight above and below the earth. Despite resistance, Constantinople weakened. Food grew scarce, disease spread, and exhaustion took hold. The Byzantine Empire's last citizens clung to hope in Hagia Sophia, but despair whispered in the streets. Mehmed the Conqueror's camp, by contrast, brimmed with energy. Drums and prayers filled the nights. The fall of Constantinople drew nearer as faith and fear collided in both camps. On May 28, 1453, the eve of the final assault, Emperor Constantine XI gathered his people. In Hagia Sophia, Greek and Latin Christians prayed side by side, their divisions forgotten. The Byzantine Empire's last night echoed with hymns, tears, and courage. Outside, Mehmed the Conqueror prepared his army for one decisive strike that would seal the fate of Constantinople forever. Before dawn on May 29th, the Ottoman assault began. Waves of soldiers stormed the walls, drums pounding, voices shouting Allah Akbar. The Byzantine Empire's defenders met them with arrows, fire, and stones. The first waves faltered, then came Janissaries, elite warriors of Mehmed the Conqueror. Their discipline and ferocity pressed the attack, shaking Constantinople's defenses as never before. At the heart of battle, Giovanni Giustiniani was struck by a cannonball fragment. Gravely wounded, he was carried from the walls. The Byzantine Empire's morale shattered with him. Soldiers lost heart, believing the city doomed. Mehmed the Conqueror seized the moment, pressing harder. The fall of Constantinople edged closer, as courage faltered and Ottoman steel advanced relentlessly against the gates. The Kirkoporta, a small gate, was left unguarded amid chaos. Ottoman soldiers discovered it and rushed inside. The Byzantine Empire's defenders, already stretched thin, could not seal it in time. Mehmed the Conqueror's troops poured through, swarming the inner city. The fall of Constantinople unfolded rapidly, as resistance crumbled from within and Ottoman banners rose above broken walls. As enemy troops surged in, Emperor Constantine XI refused to flee. The Byzantine Empire's last sovereign fought on foot, sword in hand, among his soldiers. Witnesses said he vanished in the crush of battle, his body never found. In that moment, Constantine became legend, remembered as the last Ramang, falling with his city as Constantinople died. The fall of Constantinople was complete. Ottoman soldiers stormed Hagia Sophia, where terrified citizens huddled in prayer. Mehmed the Conqueror entered the city triumphantly. The Byzantine Empire's thousand-year legacy ended in blood and fire. Yet Mehmed spared the great church, converting it into a mosque, symbol of a new era. The Queen of Cities was reborn under the crescent moon. For Mehmed the Conqueror, the fall of Constantinople was destiny fulfilled. He declared the city his new capital, Istanbul. From its walls, the Ottoman Empire would rise as a world power. For the Byzantine Empire, May 29, 1453 marked extinction. The last echo of Rome faded, replaced by a new imperial dream stretching across 3 continents. The fall of Constantinople shook Europe. Kings and popes mourned the Byzantine Empire's loss, fearing Ottoman advance. Scholars fled west, carrying manuscripts that sparked the Renaissance. Mehmed the Conqueror, however, saw himself heir to Rome, adopting its legacy. His triumph at Constantinople was more than conquest. It reshaped history, bridging the medieval and modern worlds. For centuries, the Byzantine Empire had been a bulwark of Christianity. Its fall shocked Christendom, yet it also opened trade routes and knowledge to the West. The fall of Constantinople became both tragedy and transformation. Mehmed the Conqueror stood at the crossroads of civilizations, his victory ending one empire, but igniting change that would echo across continents. The Byzantine Empire's art, theology, and architecture endured, even as the empire itself perished. Hagia Sophia's dome still gleamed, mosaics whispered of saints, and the city's streets echoed with blended cultures. The fall of Constantinople did not erase Byzantium's soul. It transformed it. Mehmed the Conqueror's Istanbul became a mosaic itself, where East and West met under one rule. The fall of Constantinople marked the end of the Middle Ages. The Byzantine Empire's fall forced Europeans to seek new paths eastward, fueling the age of exploration. Columbus, sailing decades later, carried maps shaped by this loss. Mehmed the Conqueror, by taking Constantinople, unknowingly set the stage for a global era where oceans became the new frontiers. Legends of the last emperor lingered. Constantine XI Palaiologos became a hero in memory, the ruler who chose death over surrender. The Byzantine Empire's fall gave rise to myths of a sleeping king who would return. Though the city changed, stories kept alive the spirit of Byzantium, even under Ottoman rule. Mehmed the Conqueror himself admired Constantine's courage. The Byzantine Empire had once been the richest realm on earth, but centuries of decline left it a shadow of glory. The fall of Constantinople was not sudden. It was the final note of a long decay. Yet in its last stand, the empire showed defiance, courage, and faith, ensuring its end would be remembered for eternity. Mehmed the Conqueror walked through the conquered city, marveling at its beauty. Though the Byzantine Empire was gone, he sought to preserve and transform it. He restored buildings, repopulated districts, and made Constantinople the jewel of the Ottoman Empire. The fall of Constantinople ended an era, but it also gave birth to a city destined to rule for centuries. For the West, the fall of Constantinople was a warning. The Ottoman tide surged into the Balkans and Hungary, threatening Vienna. Yet the Byzantine Empire's fall also transmitted knowledge, texts, and ideas westward. Mehmed the Conqueror's triumph reshaped both East and West. What was lost in one empire flowed into another, carrying Byzantium's legacy far beyond its broken walls. The fall of Constantinople in 1453 stands as a turning point in history. The Byzantine Empire, Rome's last heir, perished. Mehmed the Conqueror forged a new capital from its ruins, and Europe, awakened by loss, began its journey into modernity. The story of that final stand remains a tale of courage, tragedy, and transformation, one empire's twilight and another's dawn. Thus ended the Byzantine Empire's last stand. The fall of Constantinople was both an end and a beginning. Mehmed the Conqueror immortalized himself as the master of two worlds, and the legacy of Byzantium lived on in art, faith, and memory. History remembers that on May 29, 1453, the world changed as the walls of Constantinople fell forever.